What did the Emperor truly think of Obi-Wan Kenobi following the Great Jedi Purge? The Jedi Master who had defeated not one, but multiple of Sidious's apprentices, including the individual who he believed to be the most powerful in Anakin Skywalker. The feelings that Sidious had towards Obi-Wan were rarely explored in most novels or even comics. Oftentimes, it was in relation to Vader's obsession with finding Kenobi after Order 66. But today, we have found a few sources that tell us exactly what Palpatine thought about Anakin's Jedi Master, both before and after their battle on Mustafar. Greetings, Acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the Archives. One of our favorite topics to explore on this channel is finding out the deeper perspectives of how each of these characters viewed one another, how those perspectives are changed and influenced over time. The two most underrated individuals in the entire galaxy are Palpatine and Obi-Wan. What's interesting is that the two have very few direct interactions, and Kenobi actually never truly meets Sidious face to face. They only really know each other by reputation. But that didn't stop Sidious from developing a certain mindset when it came to Kenobi. And in this holocron, we are going to explore just that, and why it turns out that Obi-Wan is one of the only Jedi that Palpatine respected. Prior to Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine's thoughts on Obi-Wan were not very flattering at all. It isn't surprising to know that Palpatine saw Kenobi as weak, as well as a problematic nuisance that he simply could not seem to get rid of. To Palpatine, Kenobi was a thorn in his side, but not one that ran very deep at all. Palpatine did not consider Obi-Wan to be especially powerful even among the Jedi, and Sidious's only thoughts towards Kenobi was that he was an obstacle to Anakin's journey to the darkness. Beyond this, Palpatine never gave much thought to Kenobi's skill directly. Even as Kenobi became the master of Form 3 lightsaber combat and gained more mastery over the Force itself, Palpatine was still stuck in his hubris, and only ever saw Obi-Wan as an underperformer that belonged to an order of weaklings that meant nothing to the Sith. What's important though, although Palpatine believed that Obi-Wan was weak, he did recognize him as a threat to the Sith plan. While the Dark Lord definitely didn't believe he was a big problem, or anywhere near the threat that Qui-Gon Jinn was, Kenobi still held a very special place in Skywalker's life. Where Palpatine had secured the father figure, Kenobi still grounded Anakin as his older brother. Kenobi was the last of the Jedi that Anakin still confided in to some degree, and from many private conversations with the young Skywalker, Palpatine would learn of the extent of Anakin and Obi-Wan's close relationship. Obi-Wan was more or less the last person that needed to be dealt with before Skywalker would openly become a Sith. So Palpatine would go out of his way to try to kill Kenobi during the Clone Wars, making this one of the higher priority items. At first it was Palpatine's plan that General Grievous would kill the Jedi Master, with that being one of his exclusive goals. He even put Dooku and Ventress up to the task as often as possible. There were even times when Palpatine himself got personally involved and set up traps for Kenobi. One example of this was on the planet of Zygula. But time and time again, Kenobi refused to die and kept coming back worse and worse. This led Palpatine to consider Obi-Wan still nothing but a mere Jedi, but he was still continuously an active threat to the Sith. With that said, this would all change on Mustafar. Kenobi defeating Skywalker was inconceivable to Palpatine. In the novel, Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader, Palpatine muses about the day and he admits that he never foresaw any possibility that Kenobi would have won against Vader. In fact, in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, when Yoda informed Sidious that it was Obi-Wan who was taking care of Vader, Sidious laughed in his face. In his eyes, Vader would crush Kenobi without exerting any more effort than he did during the Jedi Temple Purge. By all accounts, his confidence was justified. Anakin had single-handedly marched into the temple and slew some of the finest masters of the Order. By himself, Anakin killed Sindralig, the Jedi Order's battle master and premier lightsaber instructor, in a fair one-on-one duel. Vader had also gorged himself on the dark side when he exacted his desire for vengeance, truly turning when he killed the Separatist leaders. By and large, Obi-Wan Kenobi should have been a lesser obstacle for the path of Vader. But then, Vader lost. We've done videos before exactly how Obi-Wan managed to defeat Anakin, so we won't retread that. But the point is, Palpatine was blindsided by this event. His takeover of the galaxy was overshadowed by the sobering moment that the most powerful apprentice he had ever had been ruined by a man that Sidious believed was a weakling and a failure. someone so much less than Qui-Gon Jinn. In that same novel, Sidious is having a conversation with a sulking Vader about the current state of the galaxy and the current state of his mindset. Vader is upset about the condition of his body and his life after losing Padme and his freedom on Mustafar. This entire time, Sidious is trying to be patient, wanting to encourage Vader, wanting him to be resilient, and to relish in their ultimate victory. He tries to console him, and he even tells Vader that together they were unconquerable. The Sith apprentice, very glumly though, states that he wasn't strong enough to defeat even Obi-Wan. And this is where Sidious's patience comes to a bitter end, and he flings his words with venom and brutal honesty. It is here we get his new perspective on the Jedi Master, Obi-Wan Kenobi. No, you weren't. So imagine what Yoda might have done to you. Obi-Wan triumphed because he went to Mustafar with a single intention in mind: to kill Darth Vader. If the Jedi Order had shown such resolute intention, if it had remained focused on what needed to be done rather than on the fears of the dark side, it might have proved more difficult to topple and eradicate. You and I might have lost everything. This is a phenomenal quote that absolutely showcases how Sidious's views on the Jedi and his enemies in general are, and how Kenobi has destroyed that mold. Sidious is a near-perfect Dark Lord. He respects power wherever it can be found without bias. And even if Sidious absolutely hates someone, there is still a part of him that respects him for a power that they wield, because that is what Sidious worships. Even as a young boy, Sidious respected and was enamored with the power that the Jedi held, but he was disgusted by their unwillingness to use it to rule. He took advantage of their fear, their arrogance, and their weaknesses, destroying them, minimizing what made them strong, that being a Jedi's resolve. Palpatine in his hubris had overlooked a crucial detail about Kenobi though, one that went beyond his innate power in the Force or even his skill with the lightsaber. Obi-Wan Kenobi carried resolve with him wherever he went, and that made him in many senses a perfect Jedi. Kenobi represented everything that should have made the Jedi powerful. The dark side works off of ambition, whereas the light works off of intention. Confusion, fear, uncertainty. These things weaken the power and the mind of a Jedi, but it was Kenobi's resolution to destroy Vader that cleared all of his blockages. Kenobi had gone to Mustafar with one goal: to kill Darth Vader and to destroy the Sith. Anakin simply did not match his master's resolve. Not as Anakin, not as Vader. Sidious knows that as Obi-Wan ventured to Mustafar, this is the most powerful he has been in his entire life because of this resolve. He went to the volcanic world with the full power of the light within him. He was completely in balance with the light side of the Force, and free of conflict. Because of this massive upset, Sidious cannot help but respect Kenobi for this. Another layer of this is Palpatine is being genuine when he speaks to Vader. He's actually happy that the Sith have won, because they almost didn't. His statement, "Imagine what Yoda would have done to you," is Palpatine not just taunting Vader for how weak he was, but it's Palpatine explaining that when he fought Yoda, he felt the Grandmaster's true power, and realized that Anakin would not have stood a chance at that time. Both Yoda and Obi-Wan took their mission with full intention for what they wanted to do, and despite all of the Sith's bravado and claims to be beyond the Jedi, he was completely unable to defeat Yoda, or even prevent his escape. Palpatine underestimated Yoda. He never thought he was as powerful as his reputation said he was. And as we've covered before, Palpatine was shaken by Yoda in the duel and was left with a tinge of fear after Yoda escaped. The power and resolve of these two Jedi stuck with Palpatine. It gave him a new perspective. This is the revelation that Palpatine has as to why it took so long for the Sith to topple the Jedi Order. This is why in Empire Strikes Back, Sidious tells Vader it is imperative that Luke not be allowed to become a Jedi. The only two that could train him would be Yoda or Obi-Wan, and Palpatine knew that if the son of Skywalker became a Jedi, it would be the Sith's undoing. This all comes full circle when on the second Death Star, Luke refuses the dark side for the final time. You can see the hatred and fury on Palpatine's face, realizing he is standing before a true Jedi Knight, just as he did so many years ago when facing Yoda. His words to Luke are appropriate in his response when he says, "So be it, Jedi. But anyway, my friends, thank you so much for again visiting our holocron. Be sure to comment down below what other topics you would like to see explored, and what are your thoughts on Palpatine's dismissal of Obi-Wan turning into outright respect. Thank you so much for visiting the channel today, my friends, and may the Force be with you.